What is going on, Game Fiends, and welcome back to another episode of Controller Chronicles. This is a series in which I review a game that I 100% and give you my feedback based on what I've played. Controller Chronicles goes a little bit more in depth than your normal review from others that lasts an average of 8 to 10 minutes. I break it down like I'm writing a book. I do an outline as to break down the points I want to talk about. And with that said, let's get right into it. First things first, this video is not spoiler free. Sorry, I try to minimize as much as I can, but I am showing you a lot of the gameplay from beginning. I might show you some stuff from the middle and even some stuff from the end. So just want to make you aware so that nothing surprises you. The game was developed by the very passionate Murmur Games, an Icelandic studio made up of about 40 team members. The project has been in development for about 7 years based on their YouTube videos that I've seen, but I believe as developers, as passionate individuals, they started about 10 years ago, maybe not with the concept of this game, but with the concept of creating a game. I also strongly suggest that if you haven't seen any of the behind the scenes stuff, you go on ahead to their YouTube channel and give it a watch. It'll give you a much more appreciation of Echoes of the End and all the stuff that they had to go through because this was being developed during COVID. So you get to see how they moved to multiple studios and things like that. And when they finally actually get a publisher. So yeah, highly recommend you give that a look.
How about your mom? Think she misses me?
I mean, maybe a part of her.
You don't have to lie to me, Cor. I think both of us prefer things like this.
Yeah, maybe.
In Echoes of the End, you play as Rin with her companion Abram on a journey of self-discovery and independence from Rin's perspective. She has magical powers because she was born a vestige, a human with destructive magic that is used to her advantage in battle. The game has a strong narrative story through great writing and acting. It follows Rin on a mission that starts because of her father's death and puts two homelands on the brink of war. You will fight against the Rigandal's forces as you progress through your expedition. You come across many different enemies through your travels trying to prevent you from pushing forward. I'll probably mention this a few times throughout my review, but the story is very well developed. And not only just that, the overall experience of listening to the actors, listening to Abram talk to Rin, and their back and forth conversations from beginning to end game just felt very sort of wholesome. It felt very real.
With all the wonders your father...
The characters and voice acting is top notch. It never failed to amaze me as I got to know who I'm playing with and where I was going. The other part is that I never felt lost and always noticed my connection to Abram throughout my playthrough. It felt real. I sometimes forgot that I was playing a game and not watching an episode of some TV series. That's how fantastic the acting is. Case in point, if you didn't know about this studio being a small developer, you would have thought otherwise and celebrated it in thinking it came from a AAA developer. With that said, you'll be extremely surprised on how well the characters are executed and how awesome sounding the voice acting really is.
Venerate those damn gates.
Don't you?
I used to. Now I'm not so sure. They protect us, but they isolate us too. There's a whole world outside our borders that I don't really know anything about.
One of these days, you'll have to pay me a visit to me. How are you with Haven's history?
A little. My father would talk about it sometimes.
Echoes of the End is absolutely beautiful, whether it's you traversing through a cave with ropes and climbing wood to leveling to a higher ground, similar to what you see in the background video right now. It's also running on PS5 Pro on performance mode, but it's not a surprise, it is running on UE5. You get to see great textures, environments breathing with well-made foliage and beyond the horizon landscapes. And the one game that sticks out like a sore thumb that reminds me of this is God of War. And that's not a bad thing because developers do take inspiration from games that they love, so it's no surprise that some of the things you see here may remind you of that. Level design was great and had a nice mix of flat and verticality in locations, making for a very enjoyable journey as you get further and further into the game, especially the late stages where things get really exciting in many ways.
I'm going to see if this thing works. Watch where you're standing.
All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. Echoes of the End is obviously a third-person action adventure game with lots to offer. The gameplay was very enjoyable in a lot of ways. It comes with light platforming and environmental puzzles that keep for a nice challenge and variety in gameplay. Not too deep, but good enough to not stop the game for long or frustrate you in any way. And that makes you feel how well-paced Echoes of the End is because it never stops surprising you, nor putting you in a situation where it's just all combat or just all puzzles. There's also a nice balance of exploration in the game too. It reminds me of my first playthrough of Tomb Raider with its level design because it feels like a throwback to older games in a good way. I say this because nowadays everyone wants to include some sort of Souls-like elements. Echoes of the End completely steers away from that, and for me, that's a breath of fresh air. Rin comes equipped with your one and only sword, the only weapon you get that also allows you to parry your rivals and dismember them when they are low in health. And there are a ton of dismembering animations. I honestly lost count because just when you think you've seen it all, another new one appears. But aside from the sword, you obviously have the menu here where you can find your collectibles, your secrets, your health upgrades, mana upgrades. But the most important thing is obviously the skill tree. Here is where you'll spend your points that you accumulate through fighting enemies. This is obviously the technique area where you use the sword. These are all the different options you have. This is what I ended up with the game when I finished it. This is the vestige. This is the power you use to do things like that. That's a beautiful, beautiful move indeed. And I pretty much upgraded everything for the vestige because it was extremely useful to use. Then you have your tree for your endurance, your defensive capabilities. This gives you options to grab more health or, right here, the essence leech. Get that health back, know what I mean? Then you have the upgrade points that you can use for your companion and how it helps you when you press the button, things like that, where he'll hold the enemy and you can actually just one-shot him and that'll go bye-bye. Obviously, like many skill trees in modern games, your abilities will get stronger. You'll become more capable in handling tough encounters that have mobs with different enemy types. From clashing two opponents or throwing yourself at one, the game never felt stale because of how you can manipulate all the powers gained. In fact, you also get abilities that are only given through the story progression, adding to your arsenal and never needing a skill point to upgrade. These abilities also go hand in hand with how the levels are developed and how you solve puzzles, putting you in new situations and adding a variety to level design. Think of Abram as a co-op player. He gives you hints if you care for him to do so through a command. The great part of this is the character never felt like just another AI-controlled personality that was just hanging around. As said before, you get a separate skill tree for him that is triggered by button press and selection of what stasis abilities you want to use. He's also very helpful in a lot of my encounters where he actually fought back. His dialogue was informative and it helps you in your journey, ultimately making the story come full circle in the end. The crazy part is that it actually felt like a real-time co-op character, like my best friend Deathwing was playing next to me. He didn't feel like it was just something developers put in as a second thought. It was definitely one of the highlights of the game and an accomplishment other well-established studios never really hit the marker with.
Thanks.
Don't mention it.
Echoes of the End music is well suited for the game and its story, going from silence during some storytelling moments to subtle tracks and onto bigger pounding ones when you fight a boss or engage combatants. Even the sound coming from when you find a chest and open it, to the running water, to the sword swinging and magic uses. It all sounded great. Listening on my 5.1 system or headphones was also a joy to behold. I played Echoes of the End on the hardest difficulty and it was not for the weak, so be forewarned. 2 to 3 hits and it's a wrap for you. That's about as close as it gets to a Souls-like game. However, the game does ship with a story-driven difficulty or a normal mode. So coming off beating the challenging ordeal I went through, I would suspect no one should have a hard time beating the game in about 15 to 20 hours, especially if you're trophy hunting.
This...
You will definitely have to play the game a few times because there is no NG Plus in order to get the platinum. It's not a very hard one, but it's also not an easy one. It will definitely take some time, but I would probably just play it on story mode so you can finish it quicker, especially for the fact that there is one trophy that expects you to finish the game in 10 hours. So, not an average platinum, but doable. Not all is great in the world of Echoes of the End. There were a few times the game crashed on me, froze, and took a long time to load back in when I perished, like really long. Iframes are very forgivable and at times a bit too forgivable, making encounters very easy if you keep rolling, especially boss encounters. Enemy variety was a bit stale with repeated confrontations, though they try to sometimes mix an earlier game enemy with a later game enemy and never helped the issue. Playing on challenging mode when you get to small areas or locations with multiple enemies felt like a chore. I love difficulty, but not when it feels like you're grinding up against the grain. Echoes of the End was a very sweet surprise in many ways, and I'm so glad I came across it. The story was awesome and well done, and the characters felt real because of the well-written script. The combat felt fluid, though ever so slightly janky in some instances, but I do believe that is something they can always fix. In fact, a few weeks back, they pushed out an update that made the fighting much better for me through my playthrough. I was very surprised by how nice the level design was and how you interacted with the environments, from jumping to reach an area via rope, and then using your ability to make the distance, to use in environments and get rid of enemies. It was all well thought out. If you want a great and very surprising small studio game that feels like it came from a AAA studio, look no further. Echo of the End provides a well-developed story that has characters and combat that keep you engaged from beginning to end. Not only will you be supporting a small team of 40 with your $40 purchase, you'll also be supporting development of future games as this is a trilogy. And once you play it, you'll be looking forward to those sequels as I am. And this concludes another episode of Controller Chronicles, a series in which I review a game after I 100% it and give you my feedback based on what I've played. I hope you found the information here useful in any which way possible. Please leave a like and even share this video with a friend that may be interested in a game like this, and possibly subscribe. I'm trying to get to that 500 number, know what I mean? I'm at 3 and change or something, 308, you know what I mean? With all that said, if you like the content you just saw, please do what my beautiful goddaughter loves to say.
Like and subscribe.
Until the next one, keep on gaming.
Oh, would you look at that?
Is this your Lord of Smoke?
I suppose it is. This is a statue of Eobard Tiamar himself. Though I doubt my little girl would have found that name quite as catchy.
Smart girl. What was her name?
Truth be told, I'd rather not linger on that thought.
Yeah, no. Of course.